Hi everyone, you're on the couch with Jamie and Tashelle, and this week we just wanted to talk about communication. Uh, different communication styles. We're going to talk about some of the popular ones. I'm sure at some point or another you've heard about them. Let's talk about being assertive, aggressive, passive, and passive aggressive. Just to, I guess, elaborate a bit about what each style is or what it looks like for people who may not know. An assertive person, or with assertive communication, it's going to be a win-win situation. You take into consideration how you're feeling, and you consider how the person you're communicating with is feeling. In assertive communication, people tend to use more I statements, so they own their feelings, they own the situation, and they clearly communicate to the other person, what's going on inside of them. They communicate what they like to see come out of the situation, and you want to be assertive. Assertive communication means conflict gets resolved, and everybody wins. Next is aggressive.
So, picture you driving into work this morning, right? And you have a slow driver in front of you. Set for those aggressive drivers on the road. Anyways, you overtake this person and try to run them off the road because they're not supposed to be driving 25 miles in a 50 mile zone. It's just responding to an event with anger. There we go. So there's quite a few things that you see aggression in, and it's when you can sense anger, when you can sense that something boils up.
Frustration.
Yes.
Those are the emotions.
Yes. And when these things happen, you will respond in maybe a high voice, say things that are very hurtful.
You said high voice, but that was actually a low voice. Your voice got lower.
We do high voice another time. But and even in action, aggression can be shown in those type of things. And the biggest thing to know about it is once aggression happens, it is mostly more time never forgotten. So I would say that aggression itself is just the form of a response to a particular event in a very heated way.
Yeah. With aggressive communication, it's usually I win, you lose.
Yeah.
So
you wrong me, you out of here.
Yeah. With aggressive communication, the focus is on me getting my point across. My opinion matters. And those sorts of things. Next is passive. So with passivity or passive communication, persons are likely to withhold what their true feelings and not communicate them. They don't like conflict. They don't like confrontation. They are I'm kind of not going to say anything. I'm going to just let this person have their way. So you win, I lose. And lastly, we have passive aggressive.
So, I was just thinking about it a second. But picture it this way. Miss Logan here was talking to me some time ago about colors. And this person identified in this situation, I'm not going to go through the whole color scheme, but it's purple. And it's pretty much this person who is nonchalant about a situation, but behind your back, a lot of action has been taken.
Yeah.
And a perfect example would be, picture your dog comes on my lawn every morning and lets go a lot of waste on my property. And you decide that you're gonna apologize. Oh, hey Jamie, sorry for my dog being. I say, yeah, no problem. When I got inside, I call animal control on them. Yeah.
Definitely passive aggressive.
Yeah. And you come out the next morning looking for your dog is gone.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's good example. We kind of wanted to talk about our communication style. I mean, everybody wants the win-win, but if we are to be realistic, that's not what always happens. I guess I can talk about Jamie's and he can talk about mine.
Yeah.
That way, it's more of, what you round? It's more of an honest or observation. Not that I can't make observations about myself and he can't, but you know, I think it would just be more interesting coming from each other. We do have different communication styles, definitely, and I feel like our family of origin has a lot
Our background.
to do with that. My family, we have a lot of aggressive communicators. They do put an emphasis on effective communication, but I believe that they think that to communicate effectively means to be aggressive, to get your point across, to not care about how the other people feel.
You talking about mine though?
Huh?
Yeah, you're supposed to be talking about my
No, I'm just giving like a backdrop
of yours.
of my family,
I thought I was
of our family of origin.
okay. Fine.
That doesn't mean that I communicate aggressively. Stop it, not that funny.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, so my family, as I was saying, they put emphasis on communication, but it's usually aggressive communication. Like if you need to get your point across, you just state it. You don't care who gets offended. You just know that you care about them because you told them how you really felt. The emphasis is placed on what is being said and not necessarily how it's being said. As for Jamie here, I feel his mother taught him how to communicate
Thank you, Mama.
effectively. She's a speaker. She does a lot of public speaking and everything. So she's a good communicator. And I feel like she kind of groomed him to communicate effectively. So yeah, now we're going to talk about each other. Go ahead, take it away.
What I can say about Tasha's way of communication is more time assertive. You know, what I can appreciate is that she reminds me of this statement thing that First Caribbean has: when you win, we all win. And that is her skill that I appreciate most. As we did mention, it's not all the time. I feel like this is her primary one, if we can use that. Yes. Her secondary is aggressive. And it's also appreciated because for me, sometimes it takes heat to bend steel.
Buck up.
And it's a good thing when you are supposed to be bended in the right way. And sometimes when it's used, it helps guide my focus.
I can assure you he does not feel like that in the moment.
Well,
These are afterthoughts.
let me tell you something. Injections don't feel good in the beginning, but you see the good. Yeah, so in these type of things, I can say that you do see a bit of passiveness, if that's how you want to put it. But yeah, you would see this more along like putting me first in certain things. And I could tell you one that I hold dearly. When I was sick, we went away, and some of the things she did just showed me that I have an issue, yes, but some of the things that she did, she really didn't have to do. And
How was I passive though?
well, if you want me to go,
I lost. You won?
Somewhat in the situation. Okay.
Communication though.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, not really, but communication can be by words,
Yeah. Verbal, nonverbal.
non-verbal. Yes. So I was seeing the passive action in non-verbal.
Yeah.
I haven't reached the verbal part yet, but
I am passive at times.
yes. It's just not coming to memory right now, but I'm pretty sure it exists. Anyways,
Okay. Jamie he communicates assertively. He's an excellent communicator. I'll say that. Usually he communicates better than me, especially in arguments, because for me, after, I don't know, 10 seconds, like, I don't even want to hear anymore. Like, after 10 seconds, all I'm seeing is his mouth moving, and I have just left the building. But, you know, he's adamant on resolving conflict, on us both making it to that place where we win. That's difficult for me sometimes, because I don't know if it's the only child. So being my mother's only child for over 10 years, you know, sometimes that selfishness kind of takes over. But definitely assertive most times. And I think he has to communicate with persons daily, with his clients. Yeah, that's what he does all day long. So I think that has definitely sharpened the raw material that he was nurtured into him. His secondary is passive, and I hate it. I really hate it. I hate it. Not towards, sometimes even towards me, but at times with people, like the not wanting to say no and things like that. And I'm like, listen, buck up. Like, tell them no. So I've definitely seen where, since we've been together, we've kind of like
help steer each other.
Yeah. Sometimes I learn to hold my tongue and just kind of relax it a bit.
Yes.
And I definitely feel that he's learned that sometimes you have to move from being assertive to aggressive. And yeah.
Sometimes no is no.
Yeah.
Yes.
No means
I'm
no.
learning.
And that's assertive though. That's assertive, because that's me taking care of myself.
Learning how to say no and like.
Yeah,
yes.
because he can also go from passive to aggressive. Yeah.
Is that a tree outside?
Very aggressive. And it's like, what happened? I think that's a shocker for some people. Most people who experience it, because they don't see him as being that type of guy. But it goes from lamb to lion and leaves people a bit dazed and confused. So yeah, it's all about balance.
Yes. And
we wanted to talk about a few examples in the Bible where we saw Jesus using different styles of communication to be effective in some situations. And I think as Christians, we often feel like, you know, we should always be passive or assertive. I think more people feel like passive though.
Yeah. And due to certain scriptures in the Bible as well, you know, a lot of people take 1-2 scriptures to then say, this is how we should be. For example, if someone hits you on is it the right cheek or the left cheek?
Yeah, one side, you give them the other.
Yeah, it's...
I think,
So some of these, they exist, and we could appreciate what the Bible is telling us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not
because that negates what you just said.
True.
We appreciate what the Bible is telling us.
Yes.
And we also understand that different situations call for different
measures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put it that way. And we saw it in Jesus's example. So the first communication style we wanted to look at was assertive. And maybe you want to do that one?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we see this one here in Mark 12:13-17. Long story short, you know, Jesus and his disciples just You
want me to read it?
You know what? I think that'd be the wisest thing to do.
Okay, so Mark 12:13-17 says, and they sent on to him, they sent on to Jesus, certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. And when they were come, they say unto him, Master, we know that thou art true and carest for no man, For thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? So what they're pretty much saying is, Master, we know you don't really, you're all about upholding the law of God, and you don't really have any regard for what man has to say. And at this time, Jerusalem was being governed by the Romans. So Caesar, the Roman emperor, they're asking, as I guess, since they are governing us, should we give tribute to Caesar? Like, should we honor him in this way? And then they said, shall we give or shall we not give? But he, Jesus, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny that I may see it. And they brought it, and he said unto them, whose is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. And Jesus answering said unto them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him.
I mean, just look at, this is a perfect example. Because in this manner, look at this. Jesus is the creator of heaven and earth. But in this story that we just heard, we see that whilst he was the creator, he did not push down his creation. Instead, he acknowledged that this is the governing body of these people at the time. So if it belongs to him, you give it to him. But what belongs to me, you give that to me.
I win.
And look at it in this way. Jesus is also telling them, you don't give your soul to Caesar. You give your life to me. But if it belongs to Caesar, these coins, these treasures, or whatever it is, then by right, it is his.
Because they were asking him about paying taxes pretty much. And
Money.
They wanted to know, should we not pay taxes? Because, they just wanted to catch Jesus out. But here we see him asserting not only the law of the land, but himself as God.
I was thinking, we have one here as well for, the temptation. Jesus went into the wilderness for, 40 days and 40 nights?
Fasted.
And the devil thought this was the best time to run in. The man hungry. Let me prepare for him. And just the way he not reminded, because the devil knew, but the way how Jesus communicated and ensured to tell of his boundaries, just reinforce his boundaries, was a way of, it's also a way of assertion.
I think that's an important point to note, because oftentimes a part of being assertive is being able to not only set, because setting boundaries is easy, but reinforce. So Satan kept coming, kept tempting. Every time he came, Jesus would use scripture to, I guess, affirm what his boundaries were. And Satan came second and the third time. And after that, Jesus, I guess you could say, reinforced the boundaries by saying, get thee behind me, like, move. Like, he ran him away. You keep trying to cross my boundary, so now there has to be some type of punishment or
a bit of aggression as well.
Reinforcement of my boundary. So in being assertive, I think that that's important to note. It's not just all about win-win here. It's about, okay, I have a boundary, and if you cross that, then there are going to be consequences.
There we go. We also have our next communication style, and that is aggressive. And we have quite a few, but I'll allow Miss Logan here to start with the first one.
The cleansing of the temple. I think most Christians would know that story, and it's found in Mark 11:15-17. It's when Jesus went to the temple, the money changers were there, they were robbing people. He told them, you've turned my father's house into a den of thieves. They were selling like the sacrificial pigeons and stuff like that, but they were lame and sick, and We know that the sacrifices should have been without spot or blemish, but even in that, Jesus said it's not about sacrifices, you know, it's about the heart condition. Yeah. Anyways, he sure did give it to them.
And look at this real quick. He could have responded in the assertive or in the passive way, but
the situation.
Yeah, in him being this aggressive, it was that important that it stands as an event in the Bible thousands of years later. And we're not saying here that
a couple thousand years.
Yeah, we're not here saying that aggression is a good thing or a bad thing, but it can be a good thing.
It has its place.
And a bad thing. There's always the right time to use it. And Jesus saw it fit to use it in this situation.
Yeah.
And as we see, the point was established. The point was communicated.
Yeah.
And there were no questions after that.
Right. Because I mean, if somebody's trying to rape you, you know, try and be assertive or passive in that situation. Like, you definitely gonna use aggression, aggressive communication, aggressive action, whatever it is.
I saw this picture the other day. It was like about this whole COVID thing. It's like COVID is trying to enter your body. Tell it no, I have rights, and it will go away. you have to be aggressive with it. Like, you can't tell COVID not to enter your body. You literally have to be aggressive with your response to the sickness. Cover up, mask up, gloves up, everything to show that you mean business.
Yeah,
it's so funny, but anyways.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. So the cleansing of the temple. Next, I had Matthew 23, and that entire chapter is riddled with Jesus insulting the scribes and the Pharisees. Like, and that's usually a form of aggressive communication, using insults, using ultimatums, threats. You know, those are all forms of aggressive communication. So like in verse 13, he refers to the Pharisees. 13 and 14, he refers to the Pharisees as being hypocrites. And it's not that it was a lie, but it's how it was communicated. 16, he called them blind guides. Like, these some big time this that he just laying out on verse 17, fools and blind. Like, to call someone a fool was a serious thing back then. You know, we use the word loosely now. Verse 27, he called them whited sepulchres. Now,
hold up.
That
wait a minute.
That is a serious diss, because a sepulcher, for those of you who don't know, is like a tomb.
And a tombstone, that is.
The tomb, the actual tomb. What they used to do was paint the outside of it white so that it looks clean and pretty, kind of like how we try to keep our grave sites nowadays. But inside was a dead, stinking, rotting body. So, like, him referring to them as that, like, I'm sure most of you know the song Pretty Face and Bad Character. Like, you whited sepulcher. Whited sepulcher. If anybody ever call you a whited sepulcher,
take them to Jesus in prayer, not fight.
And verse 33, he called them serpents and vipers.
Yeah.
And then he threatened them. Like, he's like, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Very aggressive in his communication here. But this is after the frustration and just knowing what he had come to do and what he had come to offer, and seeing how they were misrepresenting God. You know, Israel, they were supposed to be a nation that would draw other nations to God, and just seeing how, you know, they were using their office in a corrupt way.
Yeah. And he is a just God. Like, being that he's just, he knows when to speak, when to forgive, when to warn,
when to punish.
He knows what, I guess in this case, what style is
of communication.
Best useful, yes, in these moments.
Yeah. And then the third one is passive. Passamati.
So one of the things is
My least favorite.
yeah, that's me. But the woman caught in adultery. I'm gonna just speak about them real quick and just go there real. But yeah, we have so much moments where it just shows him just being passive about certain situations. that happen.
Lamb-like.
Yes, you know, they refer to him as the Lamb of the world who takes away the sin and these type of stuff. But one of the things is the woman caught in adultery. You know, they went out, found her purposely, threw her in front of Jesus and said, oh, we caught this woman doing the nasty stuff. We caught her in adultery and we're supposed to stone her. So, but the thing is that I learned just some time ago, I should say, is that it's the man and the woman that should be stoned.
Yeah.
They brought just the woman.
It was in Leviticus. It was one of those Levitical,
Yes.
if that's the word, Levitical laws.
Something.
Yes, the both persons should have been brought.
So it's funny that they brought just the woman. And it's once again back to so much of these other scriptures that show that they were just trying to show some type of
Catch him
wrong
out.
thing in what he's doing. And just his response, man. Just his response.
Very passive.
Yeah, like he bent down and started to write. You know, a lot of people say that he was writing the sins.
We don't know.
We don't know what it was, but people said quite a few things. And he stood up and said, he without sin cast the first stone. Like, just the response itself. You're coming here to try and show me up. But how about I be that lamb that I am? Woo, I am that I am.
Yeah.
And just put this out there. He without the sin, first sin. No, he without sin cast the first stone.
And then he went back to writing.
Yes.
It's kind of weird.
It's
like
just,
writing, get up,
yes.
say this stuff, and then back to writing.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but anyways.
A great moment as
Effective.
yes. The point was
Effective.
trust.
Effective passive communication.
There we go. One of the stories that really stand out to me, really dear to my heart, is knowing that coming closer to the time of his crucifixion, he literally canceled himself as a person. Because when the soldiers came to arrest him and all these type of stuff, Peter the bad man, he is pull out sword. I was gonna say he started slicing like Fruit Ninja. But point is, Jesus had someone there that was ready to defend him and have him taken away to be in a safe place. He had that option.
He could have called legions of angels.
He could have do whatever he wanted to do. But because he knew he was giving up himself for the human race, even in the act of the person who just assaulting the person by chopping off his ear, he still told him, long story short, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And you just see that he literally gave up himself for the fate of the human race. That's
Passive. A lamb led to the slaughter. That's what the Bible says.
I know I'm not close there, but he's still working on me. Anyways.
Yeah. And we had, yeah. Last one, passive aggressive.
Oh, but babe, we had one here for Calvary.
Yeah, but I guess that ties back in. Still, when he was like the lamb led to the slaughter.
Yeah.
You know, he went, they spat on him, they pulled his beard, they slapped him in his face. Like, and he really just, again, it wasn't about what he said, it was more the nonverbal communication. He was, you know, he just went. He went with it.
There's a song that says he could have called 10,000 angels to destroy the world and set him free. But he died alone. He died alone for you and me. And that itself, once again, is just sacrifice in its purest form. He didn't do it for gain or to have a name that people be like, he's the real boss. He did it purely out of love. And this is when being passive is purely effective. When it comes from a genuine loving heart.
Yeah. Well said.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, the last one, passive aggressive. We couldn't really think of any instance when Jesus was passive aggressive. And I think like being passive aggressive is really like the most toxic
Yes.
form of communication. Like the whole example earlier, like with the dog and the poop. It's just really toxic. We couldn't we couldn't find any examples where it was effective. I don't know. We tried, but we were reaching like and so we just picked out some others that we knew were passive aggressive. Judas, when he came and he like kissed Jesus, and Jesus like, you betray me with a kiss.
This is non-verbal.
Yeah, he's like, I'm kissing you, but behind me soldiers coming. And I mean, that whole thing is debatable because, you know, it's thought that Judas thought that Jesus was really going to establish an earthly kingdom, and so he was expecting him in that moment to kind of defend himself, kind of show the Romans and the rulers what he was working with. And when that didn't happen, like a lot of people speculate that that's why Judas committed suicide, because he was really remorseful and he couldn't live with the fact that he had betrayed Jesus. But yeah, King Saul.
This guy is just serious, man. Like, I am distraught. I am frustrated with what happened in my life. David, come and play the harp for me.
Javelin.
This guy is here playing music to help get rid of the frustrations and
the demons
in this man's soul. Oh, I mean you no harm. I just need your music to uplift me. And in the middle, playing music, this man throwing all types
spears
of
and
like
everything.
Nah.
And he must have known it. Like, he knew he couldn't stand a bone in David because David was the anointed one.
The people's choice as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So a lot of jealousy there as well. We had Sarah to Hagar. You know, she told her husband to sleep with this woman and to have children with her.
Yeah.
And then when it all happened, she was like, I mean, Hagar, like, she started acting up too, getting all puffed up because she
Was she pregnant?
she had a baby, right? And then Sarah is like dealing with her and then going to her husband, like, get rid of her, like, send her away. Like, you don't see how she's looking at me and all of this. So I guess, I don't know, the Bible doesn't really speak about how Sarah was communicating with Hagar, but it seemed like, you know, she was probably showing her one face and then pushing her husband, pushing Abraham to like get rid of her, send her away, which he eventually did. Like, God even I guess endorsed that because he was like, look, this is your wife's request. Y'all started this mess by disobeying me, so, you know, clean it up. And then lastly,
we have Delilah. Just the way she acted.
You know,
she was even trying to manipulate him. Like, oh, you say you
don't love me. Yeah.
Like, she went the extra mile of acting the part of being so loving. But she knew within herself that
she trying to get that money.
once you tell me where this power lie, boo, we're gonna be rich today. Anyways.
And Samson was quite silly as well because anyways.
He looked at one of them and he was like, get her. Or she pleases
No,
me.
that was his first wife.
I know, but just looking at the life of Samson as well.
Oh yeah.
Like his mindset, his frame of mind wasn't really in the place that it should be, if you're gonna put it in that sense. So even though he was reluctant at first to tell Delilah where his strength lied, when he did was the unfortunate turn of events.
Yeah.
And that was the only time he was able to see that this quote unquote loving woman that only wants the best for me. And I don't even understand it. But that's a whole nother point. No, I gotta bring it up. Each time he told her what his strength supposedly was, they came and tested him in it.
That's why I was saying he's silly.
Yeah, like what? I
Because
guess they say love
why
is
do you
blind.
think they're testing you in the same way that you just told
And
this?
it's a secret. It's supposed to be a secret.
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah.
But nevertheless, thank God for his life. He
Killed more of the Philistines in one day
Yes.
than he had in his entire life, I believe. So yeah, that was it. You know, this video is a lot longer than we
Yes.
intended, but hope that you enjoy it. In some, we just want to reemphasize that communication is important.
It is.
Effective communication is even more important.
Yes.
And though assertive communication is often highlighted as being the best and healthiest form of communication because it's that win-win type of communication. The other styles, except for passive aggressive, which we couldn't come up with anything for, the passive and aggressive communication has its place and time.
Yes.
And it can be effective.
Before
They can be effective.
Yes. Before we respond to a situation, we all know this, but just for saying its sake, WWJD.
What would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? Normally they would say, well, Jesus would turn the other cheek. But in these different events that we just spoke about, he did not always turn the other cheek. When he needed to assert himself, he did. When he needed to be aggressive, he was. When he was being passive, he displayed it in the most effective, purest way he could have. So we're not going to tell you that in being aggressive, you start cutting down your partner.
Or whomever, your
Or
children.
whomever the
whoever.
relationship would be with. But at the same time, you need to know when to do what you need to do at this particular time.
The how and the what.
Yes.
What you say, how you say it, when you say it.
Where you say it.
All right. Well, this is good. Hope you enjoy.
Yep, this is Jamie and Tish.
Tish and Jamie.
What is it again?
On the couch.
Yes, on the couch.
Bye.